tendency is another thing on our Unit 9 data representation. What all have we done in data representation? Did you just punch it again, or you zooming?
I'm zooming.
Good. All right.
Okay, wasn't me.
What have we done? Line graphs, bar graphs,
Pictographs.
pictographs,
Circle.
circle graphs, stem and leaf plots. Man, we've done a lot, and as you notice, this is a long, what?
Number line.
We did some number line stuff, which is a line plot instead of line graph. So that's good. Now, we're doing some more data representation, and in this we're going to use the data and find some measure of central tendency for the data. It's a pretty long unit on data, isn't it? Because we're already on 9-7. And then we got 9-8 coming up on Thursday and Friday. So we got a lot of stuff in this. All right, the measures of central tendency. I could define what central tendency is for you, but, you know, it's just a bunch of bullcorn. What does central mean? Middle. So the measures means more than one. More than one middle tendencies. In other words, there's several ways that you can find about the middle of the data. And that's what we're going to learn today. Those ways of finding the middle of the data. Boy, it's kind of hard to get started after spring break. Some of y'all are just in the zone. Of course, y'all slept till 11 o'clock every day or later, so
Not me.
y'all are dead.
I got up at 8.
There's 4 things we're going to look at. Mean, median, mode, and range. The mean definition is what? The median, middle number in the list. Mode, most listed number, and the range. Yeah, you take the big one and the small one and do something with it. What is the range from the biggest one to the smallest one? All right. There's one little definition we have to look at, because this little definition messes up our data sometimes. Every once in a while, you'll have a set of data, and most of the numbers are pretty close to each other, and then all of a sudden there's a number that is 500 miles away. It's called the outlier. Outlier, meaning outside the group, right? An outlier is a number that's far away from the other data, and it messes up our measure of central tendency. It's still part of the data, but you have to keep in consideration the outlier messes it up just a little bit. It throws it off a little bit. Okay? So that's what we're looking at. Well, let's go one by one now. The mean. Let's write down again. What is mean defined as?
Average.
The average. Average. The average. When you get a report card like you got last week, what's on there?
Averages.
Your averages. Your math class average. The grade you got in here, let's say it was a 92. Then that was the measure of central tendency of all your grades last 6 weeks. In other words, your grades were spread out, and the average was 92. Some of your grades were higher than 92. Some of your grades were lower than 92. But when we averaged them, it gave us the number 92, or whatever your grade was. That's what the average is. Now, mathematically, how do you find the average? Go ahead, reason.
You add up all of the grades. And
Okay, we're not talking about grades, just average anything.
Yeah, you add up all of the numbers.
Okay, but what's that numbers called? We're using big words.
Digits.
Nope.
Data.
There you go. Add all the data.
What's a smaller word? Divide it by how many days there are? I don't know.
Then mathematically, we've already added, and then what are we going to do? Reason's doing this. Reason.
Divide.
Then divide
By
that sum, SUM meaning the addition problem, the answer to an addition problem, by
how many?
how many pieces of
Information.
data was
Now.
added. However many you added, that's what you divide by. So the mathematical process for finding the mean, which is a fancy word for average, we're going to add, then divide. Two processes. Do this one, some of your data. Good. She's ahead of me. Y'all had to do it for some data collection in science, huh? Very good. So, let's find the mean of this data. Looking at the given stuff there, Brownie, what are we given?
Distances of balloon erasers.
Distance of balloon erasers. Y'all did that last week, didn't you? Well, week after that. Week before last, right? Didn't some of y'all do a balloon race stuff? Okay. Well, I made up some. Alec went 25 feet. Ty went 8 feet. Jose went 10 feet. Alric went 15. Mason went 15. Grace went 11 feet. Alyssa went 15 feet. Lauren went 20 feet. And Olivia went 20 feet. That is our data that I collected. Okay? Let's find the mean. Let's find the average. So, what are we going to do? Add. Okay? Now, notice. Are these already stacked for me?
Yes.
That's nice. Now, if they're listed side by side, what are we going to have to do? Stack them up and add them, right? But if they're in chart form, they're already stacked, so why don't you just do this right here and add them, right? Don't rewrite them if they're already in chart form. Now, if they're written in sentence form side by side, you do have to stack them. So, here we go. 5 and 8. Boy, y'all are on it today, I tell you.
13.
5 and 8. 13. And 5.
18.
And 5.
23.
23 and 1.
24.
24.
29.
29. Put down the 9. Carry the...
2.
Okay. 2.
4. 5.
2. 4. 9. 11. 11 and 2. I heard a couple of 12s out there. Which proves that a lot of y'all completely shut down your brains mathematically for a whole week until this morning, I can tell. So, 139, is that our answer? No, we've only added. We got to do the second part, which is divide. So I got 139, and it's going to get divided by, what are we dividing by? When we're doing
The pieces of the data.
How many data we added? Well, how many got added?
7.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. All right, so here we go. 9 divides into 13. Once. 1 times 9 is 9. Subtract 4. Bring down the 9. 9 divides into 49. 5 times. 5 times 9. 45. Subtract 4. What happens when we have leftovers from first semester? Casper decimal shows up. Casper 0, and we keep going. 9 9 divides into 40.
4.
4. 4 times 9.
36.
36. Subtract. 4.
It keeps on going.
Ah, all of a sudden we notice it repeats. 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4.
And more fours.
Okay, so I'm going to stop, bring this up, and so my mean is a approximation because I stopped. It's not exactly 15 decimal 4, 15 and 4 tenths, but it's close, approximate. All right, so my mean is 15.4. Now, if you want to put a bar on top of it and call it that, that's awesome, but we're close enough. Okay? If it was the number after the 4 was bigger than 5, I would then round it to 15.5. Right? Y'all agree with that?
That would be bad if that was
15 and 4 tenths repeat, which is 44 hundredths, which is 444 thousandths, which is 4,444 ten thousandths, etc., etc. When it repeats. Now, how hard was finding the mean? Averaging. Averaging. So you could figure out your own mathematical class average, because I hand back every paper that's graded, don't I? Don't I hand it back to you?
Mm-hmm.
In our folder. If you want to know what your average is in math, you take that folder, you take all the grades I've given back to you, and find the mean, and you'll know what your grade is.
And then could
Okay?
if we start doing that, could we get extra credit?
I don't believe you will, but that's all right. Good try. Okay. The next form of measured central tendency is the median. Let's define it from our box over there. Middle number. Middle number. Now, people, students, don't be bouncing around, brother. Middle number. People mix these up all the time. These are separate kinds. Sometimes they are the same number. Sometimes they're the same number, but they're not the same way to find it mathematically. Everybody with me on that? Finding the median is not like finding the mean. It's totally different. Oh, no. Put data how? Oh, in order, I'm going to go with Saja on that. In order from L to G, can I abbreviate? Will y'all let me abbreviate?
Yeah.
Okay. Put data in. Who's doing your notes for you, Holmes?
Austin.
Oh, how nice. That's awesome. Put data in order from least to greatest. And count in from both ends. Ends. Now leave yourself a little room here, because I got a little star going to happen in just a second. We got a little star that's going to happen. Bang, shang-a-lang. So let's find the median of the data from the balloon races here. We're going to use the same data all the way across. So, what's the first thing we got to do?
Least to greatest.
Least to greatest. We got to rewrite these least to greatest. Littlest one. 8. 10.
11.
11.
15.
A 15.
15.
A 15.
15.
A 15. Maybe I should be doing this. Bam, 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 bam. And the 11, bam, right?
Mm-hmm.
Alrighty. 20. 20. 25. 2, 4, 6, 8, 9 of them. Is that how much data we have? Okay, I've listed them all then. All right, got to make sure I got all the data or I'll find the wrong median. Now let's count in. This is the easy part. Once we get them in order, we just count in. Start on the ends. Here, I'll get below it so everybody can see. Boink, 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 boink. My fingers came together on what number?
15.
15. Median is 15. Median is 15. The middle number is 15. This is wonderful if the number of data is an odd number.
Yeah, 0.5.
Now we gotta have a star because we gotta explain what happens if the number of data is an even number. Because when you go boink, 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 and get your fingers together, it's going to end up in between two numbers, correct? So I want to show you one of those, but not up there. Then I'll explain to you. So I'm going to make a list of numbers. There's a list of data. There's a list of data. 2, 4, 6, 8 of them. Now, if I want to find the median, count in. Boink, 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 boink. Where did my fingers come together? In between the 12 and the 15. Does everybody understand? The middle number is in between 12 and 15. So on our star, if middle is between two numbers, list the numbers that are between those and count in on those. Now that might be confusing until I go over there and do it. Okay? Are you with me? Now what was it in between? 12 and 15. What numbers are between 12 and 15?
13, 14.
13, 14. So let's count in. Whoops. Where's in between those? In there. Well, what number is between 13 and 14? 13 and a half. Or 13 and 5/10, 13 decimal 5. So my median would be 13.5. Now this confuses students because they're thinking, but 13.5 is not in my list of numbers. Remember, we're trying to find the middle of the list. It may be a number that's in the list. It may not be a number that's in the list. We're finding the middle of the list. Everybody okay with that? Stay right there, homies, because I want to show them something. All right? I'm going to play for like right here. What if it was is in between 12 and 16? What numbers are between, remember we counted in, it's still in there, right? What's the numbers between 12 and 16? 13, 14, 15. Count in. There was no half then, right? We ended up on a number. So the median would be 14. The middle of that list would be 14. It all depends on the numbers. You just keep going in. My way of doing the star here, my way of doing the star is different than what they have in the books, in the math books. Okay? I have found in teaching this, using the wording that the math books and mathematicians use confuses students. When you count in and it doesn't end up on a number like this was nice and easy, wasn't it? Because when we counted in, it landed right on a number already there. When we count in and it ends up in between two numbers, the mathematical books and all the mathematicians tell you, then you find the mean between those two numbers that it's between.
What?
And it confuses, right, that's what I'm saying. It confuses the students because they start thinking, wait a minute, I thought I'm finding the median and now you're telling me to find the mean, right?
That's what I was thinking.
So, if you want to think that way, get after it. I like my way better. Let's just keep counting in. If we end up between two numbers, list the numbers in between those and keep counting in. If it ends up in between again, keep counting in. And then remember, sometime it's going to might be a half. What's in between 12 and 13? 12 and a half. What's in between 21 and 22? 21 and a half. So is everybody okay with median? The main thing though, the biggest mistake students make is they don't put them in order. They just come here and they start counting in, but without it being in order, least to greatest. Or they mess up when they count in between two numbers. Okay? When you count in, you might land on a number together. That will be it. If you end up in between two numbers, list the numbers that are in between there and count in those until you finally get it. Okay? All right? In my opinion, median is the hardest one. In my opinion. Some people think mean is harder because they have to add and then divide and end up with decimal. I think this one's the hardest, in my opinion. But y'all are you. Let's do the mode. What's the mode?
15.
What's the mode?
Most
Most listed number. So, the most listed number, find the mode of our balloon racer data. What number shows up the most times? 15 is the mode. Boy, which one's the easiest one to do? The mode's the easiest because you just got to find the one listed the most. Can you have two modes?
Yes.
Can you have three modes? Yes. If there are some numbers listed the most time, the same amount, you might have two of them. For instance, if we had had another 20 in this list, would I have had two modes? I would have had 15 and 20. Whichever numbers are listed the most times. So our little star here would be you can have more than one mode. It might end up where you might have more than one mode. It all depends. Now, if one of them's listed 4 times and one of them's listed 3 times, you don't have two. It's the one that's listed 4 times, the most. Now, y'all, students get these M, and M's flip-flop, messed up, twisted, turned every year.
Well, median and mode, they sound like the easiest because like medium, middle, and then mode, most, they're on there the same.
This is how ding dong, brain damage, Coach Jordan remembered it when he was a little boy. Teachers are mean.
Yes, you are.
Right? And what do teachers do? Average grades. So if you see the word mean, maybe you need to think, oh, well, teachers are mean and they average grades. So mean is defined as average. Median, I remembered it. Where's the median in the highway?
Center.
In the center, in the middle of the highway. Isn't that where the median is? The grassy median. The median concrete barrier is in the middle of the highway, but separates two sides of the highway. So the median of the highway is the middle. Mode and most sound alike.
Like a cow.
Right?
Median.
Mode and most.
Coach,
Now that's how I remembered it. Okay?
median, medium, like.
Not medium. No.
No, they're the same though.
I know, we don't know.
Red.
Because then people start saying, yeah, we're going to find the medium. No, you find the medians in it. Range. The range of the list is how far is it from the biggest number to the littlest number. Now you could start at 8 and count your way all the way up to, what's the big number? 25. But there's an easier way. What is it? The range is what? The difference between the big one and the small one. How far is it from the big one and the small one? The easiest way to do it is just say subtract big number and little number in data. Subtract the big number and the little number in the data, and that will give you the distance between the biggest number and the smallest number. So we had 25 minus 8. Julian? 17. So the range is 17. Range is 17. Now, the outlier. What piece of data in the list, whose balloon racer messes up our data? Ties. Because it only went
8.
the number that's far away from the other data, and in our example, the outlier is 8. It kind of messes up our data because all the other ones are in the teens and 20s, right? Y'all agree?
Yeah, it's just like when you have grades, and if you get a 0.
Yeah, you got all these pretty good grades, and then boom, a 0. That's the outlier. And what does it do to your average? Whoo, it drops it. If we could get rid of that outlier, your average, your mean, will go back up closer to the rest of your grades. Okay, so that's a great example.
Your range goes way up though if you have a 0.
That's right. Your range will go up, and you don't want a high range on your grades. That is correct. All righty? Well, think about mean, median, mode, range. Y'all notice on the answers, I wrote the word with it, didn't I? Because if you're given a set of data and you're told to find the mean, median, mode, and range, if you just write down 15.4, 15, 15, 17, I won't know which is which. You won't know which is which, right? So you need to be sure to label my mean is 15 and 4/10, 15.4. My mean, notice how the median and the mode were the same thing? Is that going to happen every time?
No.
Nope. It's not going to happen every time. Can it happen? Yes, but don't expect it to. All right, until you discover it. Kill it, dude.